Welcome to the Phi Life Podcast. I'm John Barban, and with me, as always, is Brad Pilon. And we're going to talk about some different stuff today. But before that, what'd you have going on this past week?
Well, dude, it's playoffs. NHL hockey playoffs right now. So I've been, watch a couple games. Normally I get about the third period in because the games, when you're watching them here in Ontario, they start around 7:30. Which is normally when the kids are going to bed. So, most of the guys are watching the first and second periods. I'm watching one of Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, or The Little Mermaid. And then, yeah. And then, but then once that's over, then I do get to watch some hockey. But that's kind of what I've been up to. I'm trying to think if anything else has been overexciting going on, but not much. We're getting some good weather here, so I had the barbecue going for the first time in a while tonight, actually.
Oh yeah, it's key.
Yeah, it was good. Tons of food. Bit more than we'd, that old saying, right? Your eyes are always big in your stomach. So we have a nice amount of leftover steak and potatoes.
I give it a good try though.
Oh yeah.
The eyes in the stomach thing.
Yeah. Well, I put that up on, it's sort of an interesting side story. You know how in, Eat Stop Eat, I'm always talking about it's a combination of fasting, weight training, and just responsible eating. And everybody always jumps all over me because I don't give exact definition of what responsible eating is. And then I always say it's different from culture to culture, person to person, and then people just say it's a cop-out. So I put up on my blog today the GGWS approach, the
WWGS.
GS, thank you, geez. So the WWGS approach, which is simply what would grandma say, right? And just going by the old wisdom that, your grandparents, or if you're younger, maybe even your great-grandparents, would have told you about eating. And I find it fascinating that a lot of the things that they used to say are actually somewhat still believed today, only now we believe it because of science, right? So, carrots are great for your eyes, right? That was a saying before probably we knew what beta-carotene was. Fish is brain food before we knew what EPA and DHA were, right? So I find that interesting that a lot of those sort of things tend to pan out. But then I liked one of the ones, was that your eyes are always bigger than your stomach. Mm-hmm. And it's so true. Like even on the days where you're like, I am so hungry, I'm just gonna, I'm ordering 3 cheesecakes at the Cheesecake Factory, and you get to the first one and you're like, oh, this is gonna be an embarrassing defeat. So.
Yeah, it's weird how we got to the point where there is no wisdom being handed down anymore as far as food goes. We're just constantly looking for somebody else to tell us what to do.
Oh, well, I mean, wisdom being handed down is your 500 friends Facebook updates when everybody wants to update you on, their latest discovery on how you should be eating. But that grandparent style wisdom, right? Mm-hmm. That it's 5% science, 95% common sense. That's disappearing, right? Because common sense in general.
Well, it's the stuff that just works.
Exactly.
And that's what I don't understand. Like, people seem to read a lot about it and get worked up or worried about, whether or not a particular way of eating or a particular thing you can eat will adversely affect your cholesterol or whatever. And then my first question is like, oh, well, have you had your blood tested? Do you know if it's affecting you that way? I mean, without testing it, why would you take any action if you have no idea of where you currently are? Yep,
totally. Yeah. So my favorite is, could you imagine if your grandmother is she tells you, eat your vegetables, they're good for you, and you were like, well, show me your references for that. She would hit you with a soup spoon so fast, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
But that's kind of the show me the science back and forth argument that's going on online right now, and none of it's ever, stop and think about, is there common sense to what you're saying? The one I like is just kind of pointing out that in any given style of eating, vegetarian, I'm sure there are vegetarians who are way leaner than I am, vegetarians that are way more obese than I am. I'm sure there are paleo people who are way leaner than I am, paleo people that are not nearly as lean as I am. And then in terms of how much you know about nutrition, there are people who know, could barely spell the word nutrition, who are exceptionally lean. And then you and I both know people who are PhDs who have been teaching for 20 years and are tenured professors who are obese, or at least pretty darn close.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So all these things that people take as absolutes, but you're like, no, they're not absolutes, right? There's part of them are rooted in